It's a farm situation. Now, we lost Cyrus Jirongo in a road accident. Since we may not all manage to go to Lugari, can we observe a moment's silence in honor of late Cyrus Jirongo? Thank you. May his soul rest in peace. My kofia is really decorated. So the family is grieving loved ones lost on our roads and in our hospitals. I said today in an earlier interview that there are about 500 patients at Kenyatta National Hospital waiting, can you imagine, to be given an opportunity to go for x-rays, to have an opportunity to get medication, but they can't because the hospital has run out of funds. And the reason is the William Ruto administration decided that every payment to any of these government institutions must go through some central something. Remember e-citizen. And then after, when they feel able to, then they then send to Kenyatta Hospital and other. That delay has occasioned deaths. That's why today in one of the newspaper headlines, Kenyatta Hospital is painted as a death hospital. The community is still reeling from the violence in Transmara. I heard Ruto say the criminals will be arrested. But ask ourselves, why is it happening? It is because of greed, land grabbing in Transmara. By who? I leave that question for Kenyans to answer. The mothers and fathers who lost their children during the June 25th, 24 Gen Z revolution. In 2024 and in 2025, we lost our children again. They are still waiting for answers. Those mothers are still, and fathers are still waiting for answers and still demanding accountability from this administration. This season reminds us that greatness is not found in places of power, but in the humblest acts of service. It calls us to be our brothers and our sisters' keeper, to extend compassion to those who suffer, to speak for the voiceless, and to build a Kenya where every citizen experiences dignity, opportunity, and peace. Peace is so fundamental. Even if you want to deny them opportunity, please allow them to celebrate life. Don't take it. Don't just take it away from them. Let this be the spirit that guides our nation, not the accumulation of power, but the courage to serve with humility and with love. Let us work tirelessly to ensure that no family waits in vain for justice and no voice crying out for accountability goes unheard. My fellow Kenyans, fellow patriots, so reflect on this season of hope. And I thank the pastor who led us in the reflection, finding God's purpose. What is your purpose in life? And reading from Jeremiah 29:11. Well, so reflect on this season of hope. Remember, faith itself is substance of things hoped for and evidence of things unseen. So we must keep faith and keep hope. We must also confront the challenges that test our nation's spirit. I think we've been trying to do that. I heard Senator Manzo today confront, challenge. Mheshimiwa Senator, Mheshimiwa Susan Kiamba, I don't know that she's still in the house. She confronted, literally, excessive use of power and abuse of language, calling leaders that they have no brains. They have no brains. Well, I want to tell you that we have some brains, and Kenyans are very clever people. And even our children have also gone to school. We stand, I cannot speak of hope without first acknowledging the harsh realities we face today. As we close this year and look forward to 2026, we must be honest about the state of our nation. That's why Maanzo spoke the way he did. We stand today at a critical juncture in our country's history. The economic burden placed upon the shoulders of the ordinary mwananchi by the Ruto regime in just 3 years is not merely heavy, it is unconscionable. We are witnessing a systematic erosion of the dignity and of livelihoods of hard-working Kenyans across this great republic. Men who keep on crying and they look forward to January now, there will be a further aggression, raiding of the payslip with increased payments to NSSF. And you know what they want to do? They say they'll ring fence those monies. When they sell the national oil pipeline, when they sell Safaricom shares, when they sell other state parastatal bodies, and they put that in what they're calling a ring-fenced basket, because they realize that they cannot increase taxes next year because that would be suicidal for them. They know this. So another way of taxing Kenyans is to put this money, say we are selling it, these parastatals, we put in this in order to perhaps plug in the hole that they would have otherwise filled by overtaxation. They know, they're clever, they can't. You have heard Minister Badi say, we will not touch, because they know. But as they refuse to touch, they are touching it and pretending that they are going to build roads. Consider the plight of our farmers, the backbone of this nation, who can no longer afford basic inputs like fertilizer to till their land. Think of the parents, decent and hard-working people, who are being forced to choose between feeding their families and educating their children. This is not just an injustice, it is a violation of the constitutional right to education. Even placing kids to grade 10 or whatever, everything comes with a level of corruption. Therefore, then, we must, Kenyans of conscience, must really determine that, God willing, as we cross this year, we'll never be the same again. We are not going to just sit there and be yes men or yes women. Our small and our medium enterprises, the very engine of our economy, are being suffocated by punitive taxation regimes and predatory lending practices that show no mercy. Can you imagine? Without dealing with serious manufacturing, our manufacturing sector is almost zero. I think somebody said that the example of Singapore, first of all, Ruto does not know that Singapore is a city-state. A city-state. Even that comparison itself, I think when you have to be very clear, you're talking about moving. I personally believe the time for the African tiger, the African lion, is now. Because we have our resources. You saw President Trump in trying to get President Tshisekedi and President Kagame to sign that peace agreement in Washington, which was witnessed by regional leaders, including William Ruto. I remember the president of Namibia was, I think, Angola, Namibia, the president of Burundi. They were there, but because William Ruto is chairman of the East African Summit, he also had to be there. Trump made it clear that the reason he's pushing Kagame and Tshisekedi to sign is because the US is interested in the rare minerals, the mineral wealth of this continent is unimaginable. It can shift Kenya to another level, not just Singapore. Not just Singapore. And so we know this. Leave alone the DRC. In Kitui, you have huge deposits of copper. And the prices of copper have been going up. If we got this copper and it is quoted in reputable stock exchanges, that will be enough to clear our country's external debt. I hope you hear what I've said. So when Ruto says we have no agenda, this is how we want to make this country great. We will not follow other examples, because those are Asian tigers. Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore is in that category. In Malaysia, the dominant communities are the Chinese and the indigenous Malays. That trade continues to the Orient countries, including China. So we have to get our own act together as Africa. East African Community Service collapsing under the chairmanship of William Ruto. He's supposed to have handed over the chairmanship to Mama Suluhu. Mama Suluhu itself is having stress. We are living in a stressed environment. So, William Ruto should stop misleading Kenyans to a dream world which is not real. Without an important cornerstone, which is peace, Kenyans living peaceably. After 3 years in power, people in his backyard are getting killed in the boundary between Narok and Bomet. We have witnessed an alarming erosion of our democratic institutions. We again heard it from the senators here and other leaders, members of parliament, except our own members of parliament. I must thank them, the 20 plus of them, together with a few